JJ Vallow's remains are finally being released, and he will get to see his final proper resting place. Vandersloot has finally confessed and allegedly told the truth as to what he did to Natalee Holloway years ago. And Alec Murdaugh may be getting a new trial, and his house is back in the market again. Yo, we got a lot to talk about today. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there. That's Mr. Roscoe. He's the mascot. I'm Paul. I'm just Paul. Y'all, you heard my little intro. You saw the thumbnail. We clicked it. Here we are. First of all, if you follow me, I'm back at the old Sofa Squad. I've been in the mountains. I am working on doing my little vlog that I'll put up on the Patreon members area or whatever once I get it done. It's a whole bunch of little clips off the phone. It ain't nothing fancy, but be on the lookout for y'all. Now, y'all, we're going to be reviewing several cases today, and we're going to be doing it via news clippings and stuff like that, so I'll be putting them on the screen. I'll be reading from them. Now, like I said, there's so many of these different things that people have been sending me, and thank you for doing that. It keeps me in the loop of everything. But there's so much, I was like, I'm just going to combine these major updates into one video and talk about all of them. Now, what I want to do specifically is I want to start off with JJ Vallow's update, because when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, it gives me goosebumps now. And what I'm talking about are his remains finally being released. This is one of those cases that, as I have followed it, obviously from afar, I'm not related, don't know anybody personally in the case and whatnot, other than here off of social media and everything. But when watching from afar and then being reminded throughout of, they haven't even given these children a proper burial yet. Not because they haven't wanted to. Obviously, that has been, they haven't wanted to release the remains yet. And so they finally have. The state and the defense both agreed, like, yep, we can do that. Now, they are still not doing so with Natalee, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So again, before we jump in, I do want to say, I ain't nothing fancy here. I ain't a doctor, I ain't a lawyer, I'm none of that credentialed stuff, okay? So I'm just sitting here talking about the cases with y'all. They're just my opinions, and they're just that only, okay? They ain't factual, they ain't fancy, they're just sofa opinions, alright? Now also, if you want to follow me to see more, well, behind the scenes of Roscoe and the little shenanigans we get up to, go on, check out the Insta, go on, check out the Gram, go on, sign up for the Instagrams, okay? It's on the screen and in my, the little description thing down there. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, on the screen you're going to see here, it says, body of JJ Vallow released to grieving grandparents 3 years after his life was taken. This is by Nicole Acosta, published on October 17th. Let's go ahead and jump into the nuts and bolts of it. It says the body of JJ Vallow, the son of Lori Vallow, Daybell, has been released to his grandparents more than 3 years after he was found dead in the backyard of, Chad Daybell's property. It says an electronic court filing is reviewed by People. Judge Stephen Boyce on Monday signed off on a stipulation filed 5 days earlier by prosecutors in Fremont County, Idaho, ordering the 7-year-old's body be turned over to his next of kin. In this case, JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, are his closest living relatives. They'll be able to finally lay him to rest. Now, what I want to do next is read Kay's statement that she did. This is via Twitter, and I just want to read this here and go over it. So as you see here, Kay Woodcock, thank you, Jesus, it says, the last several years have been filled with pain and grief as we traveled this long, arduous road. We have walked and prayed for this day for so long and are immeasurably relieved that JJ will finally be laid to rest. I mean, hallelujah, right? Now, she continues on and says, we have spent the past days immersed in the memories of the love and happiness that JJ shined and continues to shine in our life. As we reminisce in the joy that JJ filled our life with, our hearts ache for those that love JJ and share in the immense grief and loss of such a beautiful little man. We are grateful for the love and support of everyone that has come to love JJ, Tylee, and Charles. As we continue to fight for justice, the dedication and strength given has helped to carry us through. Okay, y'all, so this is going to be take 4. I had to use this Dixie plate to cool myself myself up. Y'all, I can't get through the last paragraph. I start crying every single time. And I can't get through it, y'all. I've tried it multiple times and I've broken down to using the this Dixie plate, trying to dry my eyes out. It was the first thing to grab. So I apologize. I'm going to try again to get through this last paragraph, y'all. Y'all, this one, it's getting to me. It's just so joyous. And then, you know, Kay and Larry are always just so well spoken, and, you know, they say kind of what our hearts feel, you know what I'm saying? It's getting to me. So I'm going to try and read it one more time. Okay. We are anxious to find out when Tylee can be laid to rest too. Our greatest wish is for JJ and Tylee to be celebrated for the joy and love they brought to this world, and for them to finally rest in peace. Only then will our hearts begin to heal. Memorial services will be announced at a later date. Larry and Kay Woodcock. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, y'all. I mean, this really gets to me. It's just, you know, and I don't want to say, oh, you never thought this day would come type thing, but it's like, you know, with this case, looking at it, again, not being related, not having that level of, you know, relation and that kind of thing to it, it's still, I mean, a heartbreaking case. And then again, just this whole thing where it's like, my God, the emotions they must be going through of finally, you know, being able to lay him to rest after such horrible, horrible things were done to them. The victims, all the victims, you know, and the thing, but they finally can lay him to rest at least, you know. And like she said, I mean, hopefully Tylee will be next. I mean, my God, my heart goes out to him. The thing that I always think is, I'm just like, my God, again, if it wasn't for them, I don't know if we would be here today in regards to the justice that we've seen take place so far with Lori, and hopefully with Chad coming up here in a few months. To fight the fight they have fought, and to go through what they have gone through, I think I can make it without the Dixie plate now. Lord help us. If y'all could have seen the struggle bus to get through this, oh my gosh. But to fight the fight and done all that they've done, you know, at this stage in life, you know, and for this level of loss, my heart goes out to them. I mean, it just breaks. It absolutely breaks. So that is a major happy update right there, okay? Let's go on to another happy update, I would say, but also another, you know, bone-chilling one, if you will. And what I'm talking about is the case of Natalee Holloway. Now, again, we're going to review this just like we did over here. We're going to put up some snippets of articles, and we'll read through it. So let's go ahead and look at the first one. Okay, so for those who haven't followed this was the young lady, Natalee Holloway. She went missing years ago. We'll get a little bit more into it. This isn't meant to really do a dive down into the actual case and whatnot, but mostly the update. But many of you who follow true crime already know this. But Jorn Vandersloot's confession. He finally tells, allegedly, what has happened. Now, we'll get into, do I believe him or not, or whatever as we go. You know, he's in the States right now. He was hit with other charges, basically extorting her mother. I mean, cannot roll my eyes hard enough at the audacity. And so he pled out to that, but part of the plea deal was to admit, like, what he did with her daughter. So let's read through some of this and see what he did. I'll put the first thing on the screen now. So it says, after almost 2 decades, the mystery of what happened to Alabama team Natalee Holloway and Aruba has been solved. Vandersloot confessed to her parents that he beat her to death and then went home and watched the P word but corn. Vandersloot, a 36-year-old Dutch citizen, has long been the prime suspect in the 18-year-old 2005 disappearance. In federal court on Wednesday, it was revealed that he finally admitted to being her killer. Y'all, this is major, okay? Let's continue. The revelation came as Vandersloot pleaded guilty to trying to extort money from Holloway's mother in exchange for information about her daughter's death and the location of her remains. He was sentenced to 240 months in prison for the 2010 scheme. Now it continues. During the hearing, prosecutors announced that Vandersloot confessed to Holloway's parents, and he showed his first scintilla, I hope I'm saying that right, of remorse in 18 years, claiming he was born again. Now listen to this. I would like to take this chance to apologize to the Holloway family, to apologize to my own family, to say I hope the statement I provided brings some kind of closure to everyone involved, he said in court. He added that he has opened his heart to Jesus Christ. I am no longer that person I was back then. We're going to talk about that in 1 second. Now it goes on here, and let me get a little bit closer so I can read it. Beth Holloway, the teenager's mother, confirmed to the court that Vandersloot confessed and told him, "You terminated her dreams, her potential, her possibilities when you bludgeoned her to death in 2005. She added that Vandersloot said he went home and watched pornography after snuffing out her child's life for refusing his advances. You didn't get what you wanted from Natalee, your satisfaction, so you brutally took her life," Beth said. "I paid my daughter's killer money. That's shocking. I don't think anyone can really wrap their mind around what that means," she added, referring to the extortion charges. I mean, God bless her. God bless her, the things that he put this family through. Before sentencing, Judge Anna Manisco revealed that the Holloway family will not find the teenager's remains, but did not provide further details. After the hearing, Beth Holloway told reporters outside of court that Vandersloot revealed after killing her on the beach in Aruba, he put her into the water, and that was the last time he ever saw her. She added that she is confident that Vandersloot carried out the murder alone, but declined to provide the details about his confession. Vandersloot was serving a 28-year sentence in Peru for the 2010 murder of another woman when he was extradited to Alabama in June to face charges in the extortion case. Now, skipping to the bottom here, it says his guilty plea and confession are the most dramatic turn in a true crime saga that has been in the headlines since Holloway vanished on a high school graduation trip. She was last seen leaving a club in Aruba with Vandersloot, then 19, and twin brothers Deepak and Satish Kalpu. Okay, now I like to talk about things at the end, but very quickly on this right here. I mean, again, imagine the mother finally getting, and we're going based on that this is the truth, right? So let's put ourselves in that frame of mind that he is finally telling the truth as to what happened. Imagine you have gone through all you've gone through, beginning with losing your daughter and never knowing when she's coming home. The struggle this woman has gone through, the extortion, finding her, all the stuff. And you finally find out what happened, and it's like my mind just goes to that beach. It's like I can almost hear the waves, I can feel the sand, that lonely feeling of like what her last moments in life must have been, and the most heinous way to be taken out. I mean, she, bless her heart, I mean, she didn't even know it was coming after her. You know what I'm saying? What a horrible, horrible way to leave this, universe or whatever. Now, for him to be sitting here talking about, I'm not the same person. I mean, which version are you talking about? Because it's like, you did this, you did it to another woman. Years later, you extort money from the mother of the victim. I mean, you want to talk about salt in the wound, and now you want to sit up here talking about, I've changed. I've found Jesus Christ. And if he did, well, more power to him, right? If that is all true. I tend to believe what he's saying in this. I mean, I tend to believe part of it. I'm sure he's leaving out certain details. He's not going to sit here and tell all certain things because he probably doesn't want to have a really hard time in prison. I don't know how it works over where he's at, as far as like that type, those type charges. I mean, I would think that people already know what he's charged on with the other woman, right? But I just find it hard to believe that, I'm sure there's other crimes involved with this, right, is what I'm saying. So, putting her body in the water, the whole 9 yards, I mean, and then the unknowingness. I cannot fathom what it would be like to get a call or to not get a call or whatever. Your child has gone, and all these things that we say, this particular high school graduation trip, whatever, she's missing, and you never see them again. I'm trying to think, how would you ever fall asleep again? How could you ever relax again? I mean, it must rip one's heart out and stomp on it on the ground. I can't imagine. Now, so again, these are, we're glad to see justice for this. Now, let's get to the last update. Alec Murdaugh. I cannot believe we are here. Let's talk. So as you'll see, the headline here says Murdaugh gets retrial hearing in the murder case amid jury tampering allegations. Mama Jama, let's jump in. So it says the South Carolina Court of Appeals has remanded the Alec Murdaugh murder case back to circuit court for a hearing on his claims of jury tampering by Colleton County Clerk of Court Rebecca Hill. Thanks, Rebecca. Chief Judge H. Bruce Williams signed an order Tuesday morning granting Murdaugh's attorney's motion to place his pending appeal on hold and send the case back to circuit court so Murdaugh can move for a retrial. His defense lawyers on September 5th filed a bombshell motion for a retrial alleging Hill had worked to secure a guilty verdict against Murdaugh by deliberately tampering with the jury in various ways. Most damning among the allegations, Murdaugh's lawyers said jurors accused Hill of having extensive improper private conversations with them about trial proceedings and the merits of the case. Murdaugh's lawyers filed affidavits of 4 jurors as evidence of these claims. Let's go on to the next thing. 3 of the 4 jurors said Hill made statements to them about the credibility of Murdaugh and his lawyers, urging the jury to guard themselves against being fooled, misled, or distracted by the things the defense presented. A 4th juror also said that Hill offered them coaching on things they should pay attention to during Murdaugh's testimony, such as his behaviors and movements. Additionally, Murdaugh's lawyers accused Hill of pressuring jurors to quickly reach a verdict and also scheming to remove the memorable egg lady juror who Murdaugh's defense team says Hill perceived as sympathetic to Murdaugh. Now, according to Murdaugh's attorneys, Hill invented a story about an improper Facebook post by the egg lady, juror's ex-husband, in an effort to have the woman removed. But the Facebook post was ultimately revealed to have been misattributed to an unrelated person whose name was the same as the juror's ex-husband. However, it should be noted the juror was ultimately removed for another reason. A separate court investigation during trial revealed the egg lady juror had improper conversations with members of the public about the case. The Facebook post issue was not a factor in the court's decision to remove her. Now listen to this part right here. Murdaugh's lawyers Jim Griffin and Dick Harpootlian, they released a statement on Tuesday's ruling in their favor by the appellate court, saying it is welcome news, and adding they intended to quickly seek a full-blown evidentiary hearing addressing the serious allegations pertaining to improper jury communications by the clerk of court. Now here's where it gets interesting. So SLED, the South Carolina Attorney General's office, has cast doubt on other claims set forth in Murdaugh's retrial request, saying in a September 15th court filing, an objective investigation by SLED has already revealed significant factual disputes as to the claims in the appellant's motions. State prosecutors have not addressed the claims of Murdaugh's lawyers further, or the claims of those jurors whose affidavits were submitted to the court. A review of the court juror affidavits by News 4 revealed several contradictions and lack of consensus among the questioned jurors about a variety of topics. Some statements one juror attributed to Hill were attributed to a bailiff or trial judge Clifton Newman by other jurors. Another juror affidavit goes against Murdaugh's lawyers' assertions that Hill pressured the jury to quickly reach a verdict, mentioning specifically feeling pressured by other jurors to reach a verdict, not Hill. Very interesting. The claims of jury tampering against Hill came soon after she self-published a memoir, Behind the Doors of Justice, offering a behind-the-scenes look at the inner workings of the trial from her perspective. Now it goes on to say that Alex, his attorney, said that some of the jurors came forth, they felt like they were upset by the content of Hill's book, and the last little paragraph we'll jump to, it says Hill was harshly critical of Murdaugh defense attorney Jim Griffin in the book, accusing him of deliberately flouting rules of courtroom and conduct, and also saying it was clear to her Griffin felt frustrated and neutered in his role on Murdaugh's 4-person team of defense lawyers. Wow. Okay, so here's the thing. Y'all, if you look up conflict of interest, this trial's next to it on so many different levels, right? And so me personally, and again, this is from a sofa opinion, I'm not, credentialed or lawyered up or a lawyer or any of those things. I personally am going to be surprised if he doesn't get a new trial, right? There's so many things going on with this, and I'm like, what? Now, again, we'll look at wherever the evidence takes us. If they sit here and all the jurors have a different story, okay, that's going to be a little bit like, okay. The fact that she was writing this book and doing all this, I'm just like, are you serious? Like, how unprofessional can you get? You're sitting here, this is like the trial of the century, and you're going to jeopardize it in that way. That part really bites, but we'll see what happens with it. I mean, that's all we can do, right? Is wherever the evidence goes is where it's going to go. You know, if they get up there and none of the jurors' stories match, and it's like, you know, and it's more like, okay, well, what were y'all talking about? Meaning his lawyers. Nobody really has any consistent stories. They don't want to be up here. You know, this is seeming manufactured. Okay, well, then there you go. But again, if they can prove this stuff to be true, oh, please. There's no way he won't get a new trial. I'd be shocked. I mean, if I was him, I mean, of course you would want a new trial if you're him, right? Guilty, not guilty, whatever. You're going to want a new trial, right? This one I would really want it for legitimate reasons, because I'd be like, hello, they were pressured to get a verdict. This happened, that happened. I mean, are you serious? You know, I would want one too. So on that part, I can get that, right? But I'm just like, are you kidding me? We just finished this. The ink isn't dry yet on the sentencing papers, and we're right back here. I mean, you want to talk about can't roll in your eyes hard enough. That right there. Now, let's read a very quick kind of a palate cleanser, if you will, an Alec Murdaugh palate cleanser. Y'all, the house is back on the market again. Now, it is kind of what I was thinking in my mind when I saw this, but let's talk about it in the article a little bit because it is interesting. So you'll see here, a Murdaugh house back in the market. You Know What, Fans Not Welcome. Pilar Melendez, I believe, is the writer of this. And let's just get into the little article. So the $1.95 million listing is a 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 5,200, a little over 1,500 square feet. It's in Islandton, South Carolina. It was a 1,700 acre estate, but now what's happened is they have cut that out. And so this is the part I find interesting about it. So now that sold for almost $4 million earlier this year after the trial. This is when the jurors went to all that. Crosby told the Daily Beast that he is not surprised that people who bought the property on March 22nd are selling part of it. He said the two buyers are more focused on the recreational purposes of the land, like growing timber and doing other things we do down here. I don't think they ever had any interest in keeping the house because they don't need it, Crosby said. They have their own houses. Since the Mozilla Estate house went on the market on Monday, Crosby said the listing has gotten a lot of views, but nobody has scheduled an appointment to visit the home, which was custom built for the Murdaughs in 2011. It does not include the shed where Maggie and Paul their lives were taken. He goes on to say it's a nice house, it's a quality built home. He added, it's got a lot of wood. Anyone who wants to buy this house has got to have a desire to live in a rural area. It's almost 45 minutes to the nearest Target. So here's my thing. I'm thinking like a couple of guys bought this and they're hunters, like timber, all this kind of stuff. So they kept all the acreage and they're getting rid of the house, right? I mean, hello, who would want to, I mean, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, who would want to live in that with all the way this went down? And I get, deeper in the article, this is the most important part, you know, the real estate person's basically like, look, you know, this kind of stuff happens in houses all the time. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Now, I completely understand him wanting to vet people out because they're going to basically, sounds to me almost like you got to do a credit app to walk up in there, right? Don't blame him. Can you imagine how many people would just want to go to look at it just to, like, you know, morbid curiosity? But I just found it interesting. So now it's down to a little under $2 million. So these dudes who sold it, they got all that acreage for like basically what, like a couple of million basically, if that's what it goes for, that they can do, you know, whatever they plan on doing with the property. So it probably was a good hunting area. I mean, obviously the Murdaughs had it for a reason. 45 minutes to the nearest Target. My word. I mean, I'm assuming that means Starbucks too. Good Lord. So, anyways, let me know what you think about all of the updates. You know, what do you think Vandersloot is telling the truth? Do you think that's really what happened there? Do you think Alec Murdaugh is going to get a new trial? When do you think Tylee's remains will be released? I want to know. If you're still watching, thank you. Roscoe says thank you. He wants you to drop some sofas in the comment section. And when we do meet up on those sofas, or at least until we do, I'll see you there.